The old Victorian house was my dream, a perfect escape from the city, nestled deep in the woods, miles from the nearest neighbor. It stood on a hill, its shape cutting into the darkening sky. I bought it for a steal, an old place with good bones, or so the realtor said. The first few weeks were idyllic. I spent my days painting, repairing, and breathing in the scent of pine and damp earth. The silence was a balm, a welcome change from the constant hum of my old life. But then the little things started. It began with a smell in the kitchen, a faint, cloying sweetness mixed with something spoiled. I scrubbed the counters, cleaned the fridge, took out the trash, but it lingered, a phantom scent that would appear and disappear without reason. Then the furniture. I'd come downstairs in the morning to find a chair slightly out of place, or a book on the coffee table moved just an inch. At first, I blamed my own memory. I was tired, working hard. It was easy to forget where I'd left things. But the feeling of being watched, that prickle on the back of your neck, was harder to dismiss. The sound started about a month in. It wasn't the usual groaning and settling of an old house. This was different. It was a soft, rhythmic thumping, coming from behind the wall of my bedroom. Thump, thump, thump. It was slow, deliberate, and always at night, just as I was drifting off to sleep. I told myself it was the pipes, the house breathing. But the sound had a cadence, a disturbing regularity that felt organic, alive. My dog, Buster, a brave little terrier, would stare at the wall for hours, a low growl rumbling in his chest. He knew something I was desperately trying to deny. One night, the thumping was louder than ever. It was accompanied by a soft scratching, like fingernails dragging against old plaster. That was it. I couldn't ignore it anymore. My heart hammered against my ribs, but a cold resolve settled over me. I had to know what was on the other side of that wall. I grabbed a crowbar from my toolbox, and with Buster whining at my heels, I stood before the floral wallpaper of my bedroom. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the tool. Taking a deep breath, I swung. The plaster cracked, sending a spiderweb of fissures across the wall. I swung again, and a chunk fell away, revealing the dark space behind. The snow hit me first. That same sickeningly sweet, rotten odor, but 100 times stronger. It was overwhelming, and I gagged, covering my mouth with my shirt. I shone my flashlight into the hole, my hand trembling. What I saw made my blood run cold. It wasn't pipes. It wasn't rats. It was a narrow, cramped crawl space, barely a few feet wide, running the length of the house. And in the beam of my light, I saw a makeshift bed, a pile of dirty blankets, and scattered food wrappers. Someone had been living in my walls. My mind reeled. The moved furniture, the missing food I'd chalked up to my own forgetfulness, the sounds. It all clicked into place with horrifying clarity. I wasn't going crazy. I wasn't alone. I backed away from the wall, my flashlight beam dancing over the cramped space. That's when I saw the eyes. Two pale, luminous orbs staring back at me from the darkness at the far end of the crawl space. They blinked slowly, and then a figure began to move, unfolding itself from the shadows like a spider. It was emaciated, unnaturally thin, its limbs long and contorted to fit the tight space. It moved with a slow, jerky crawl, dragging itself towards the hole I'd just made. I didn't scream. I couldn't. The sound was trapped in my throat, a knot of pure terror. I just stared, paralyzed, as the pale, hairless head emerged from the hole. The face was gaunt, with sunken cheeks and thin, colorless lips that peeled back into a lipless grin. It didn't speak. It just watched me with those wide, unblinking eyes. And then it started to make a sound. A soft, wet, clicking noise from the back of its throat. Buster went frantic, barking and snapping, but I couldn't move. I was locked in a staring contest with the monster that had been sleeping just inches from my head every single night. The creature slowly began to pull its torso through the hole. Its movements were unnatural, disjointed, like a marionette with tangled strings. It was wearing my clothes. A flannel shirt I thought I'd lost weeks ago. That was the detail that finally broke my paralysis. I let out a choked sob, stumbled backward, and ran. I didn't grab my keys, my wallet, or my phone. I just ran. I scooped up Buster and bolted out the front door, into the cold night air. I didn't stop running until the jagged silhouette of my dream house was just a dark smudge against the horizon. I never went back. I left everything behind. The police investigated, of course. They found the crawl space, the makeshift bed, the evidence of a long-term inhabitant. But they never found anyone. The house was empty. The official report called it a transient, a squatter who had likely fled when I discovered them. But I know what I saw. That wasn't just a person. The way it moved, the way it looked at me. It was something else. Something that had found a home in the dark, forgotten spaces of the world. Sometimes, at night, when the house is quiet, I can still hear it. That soft, rhythmic thumping. And I know, deep in my bones, that it's still out there, looking for a new wall to live inside. So check your locks, and listen carefully to the sounds your house makes in the dead of night. You might not be as alone as you think.